Good evening and welcome. I'm Bianca Broos, your host for the third and final segment of our spring virtual series of Women in Conversation at Home. Our goal is to inspire our audience by highlighting topics of interest and importance to women in Sonoma County. I want to take a moment to thank those that have made tonight's episode possible. For the past 6 years, our presenting partner, Summit State Bank, and founding partner, Providence, have supported our Women in Conversation series. Through their generosity, the program continues to grow, and we are able to bring exceptional and relevant content to our viewers. We also sent out a big thank you to supporting partners North Coast Tile and Stone, Montgomery Village, and Oliver's Market. They have so graciously supported this series and made this special evening possible. On behalf of the Press Democrat, I welcome you to this evening's program. What better time to develop new skills or rediscover old hobbies than during a stay-at-home order? In this segment, we are exploring delightful stories of creativity and will learn how 3 local women used their time this past year for personal growth and discovery. Always a crowd favorite, let's welcome back Duskie Estes and see what creative cocktail recipe she is whipping up for us. Cheers.
Hi, I'm Duskie Estes of Farm to Pantry and Black Pig Meat Co. And once again, you have joined me in my backyard for a little backyard mixology. Tonight, with Women in Conversation, it's all about creativity. And what is more creative than my rooster crowing in the background? No, what is more creative than a flaming Mai Tai? I thought a Mai Tai would be a ton of fun for us all to gather and drink tonight. So, and there's lots of opinions on the Mai Tai, so that's where the creativity comes in, because you get to choose what matters to you. The Mai Tai originated in San Francisco in a restaurant called Trader Vic's, and it originally did not have tropical fruits in it. But in the 50s, it made its way to Hawaii, and they added, of course, pineapple and other tropical fruits and necessary garnishes of the spent lime top that is flaming with a little bit of rum in it, and a sprig of mint that is used to represent the palm tree. So of course I want to bring us all on a trip to Hawaii, and hopefully we can all get there soon. But tonight we're in Sonoma County in my backyard, and the first thing you got to do when it comes to making a Mai Tai is you need shaved ice or crushed ice. And I don't have a fancy crushed ice maker on my refrigerator, so I use a food processor to get there. Crushed ice, see how easy it is? Take 2. So we put our crushed ice into our shaker. Yum. Okay. And then we do citrus. So half of an orange. This one's a beautiful Cara Cara orange that I have. And a whole lime. Yeah. Delicious. Now in goes my lime. Whole lime. Next is pineapple if you're making it Hawaiian style, or no pineapple if you're not feeling like you want to be in Hawaii. Of course, pineapple doesn't grow in Sonoma County, but I wish it did. 2 ounces of dark rum. And now a half ounce of amaretto. A lot of recipes for Mai Tai use an almond syrup, but I never have a whole bottle of almond syrup, and I always have this around for grilling peaches in the summer. So that's why I chose to use amaretto instead. Then a little grenadine or simple syrup, pomegranate simple syrup, that I got from Sip Song Spirits in Healdsburg. Then a good shake. Okay. And then I love a fun tiki glass. So you pour it into your fun tiki glass. And the garnishes on this drink are some of the best part. So we take a little fresh mint from the garden. And then I'm gonna show you 2 different garnishes, and you could do one of these or both. So I always love bruleed fruits. So you can take a little pineapple wedge, sprinkle a little sugar on there, and then hit it with the torch. And the caramel gets hard on the surface of the pineapple, so you get this wonderful crunchy texture. So then I take a skewer and I place my burnt pineapple on the skewer, and I follow it with the spent lime that I'm gonna put my white rum into. Just like this. So then you can rest that on your glass, and then we top off the lime with a little straight white rum. And this is where we need to be at the night instead of the day, so you could see the torch. But so, I don't know if I got a black background, if you could see it, but basically then you light this on fire, and there's a little flame going. But I don't know that you can see it in the sunlight of Forestville in the day. But there is your flaming Mai Tai. I hope you all have a wonderful creative night tonight. And I'm ready to partake. Yum. I'm heading to Hawaii next, y'all. See you on the paddleboard.
It wasn't long before the management at Summit State Bank recognized the need to focus on well-being and self-care of our employees.
I know you'll benefit from what our partners have to say.
Reminding yourself this too shall pass.
We have so much talent here in the area, and a lot of us, including myself, use music as a gateway. I'm so excited to introduce the Rainbow Girls. They are an eclectic folk trio that hail from Bodega Bay, sharing an original song with us this evening that will debut on their upcoming album. It's called Free Wine. Sit back and enjoy.
this whole global shutdown, we've been working on our new album.
Why donuts, you ask?
Yes.
Why the donuts that we showed you in the beginning?
We made a music video. We've been working on it, prepping for it for the last few months. We finally got together with our whole team last week and made it in our living room, turned our living room into a studio.
Yeah.
Covered our wall with tin foil.
And aluminum foil.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why, you ask? You will not know until you see the video. And will you even know that the wall is covered in tin foil?
No, you won't.
Probably not.
All my work was in vain!
What else have we been doing, guys?
What is time?
Yeah, nobody knows anymore. But one of the other things that we've been doing, if you've been, I don't know, if you're into us, you might appreciate that every Monday we've been putting out a live video for a tune that we've learned and that we love and that we thought y'all might resonate with. So if you go over to our Facebook,
Yeah.
you might find some good
Is
stuff
that a link?
there.
Yeah.
There might be a link somewhere.
5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
On Mondays.
Yeah, you can still catch them live, or you can go back and look at the whole archive. But times are changing, man. We're getting ready to head out on the road.
Oh, it's so weird.
Not too soon, but sooner than I thought would be the case.
Yeah, we've been doing shows in our living room the entire year,
Oh,
which has been fun, but we're excited to
not.
not do that anymore.
And
It has been
maybe-
very fun.
It's
It's
been
been fun
good.
being
It
like,
really
okay,
has.
this whole space is gonna change.
Yeah.
And we're gonna put on a radio show or
5
have a
seconds.
slumber party
Well,
or
Yeah.
before we go, I just want to let y'all know, because I feel like you should be the ones to know. We're playing a show soon here in the county over at Somo Village. Us and some of our really good friends, and it's on the 21st of May.
Yeah.
And there's a really limited amount of tickets because, you know, COVID.
social distancing.
Yeah, so get some if you want to come hang, and we would love to see ya.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
We all get a little stressed every now and then, don't we? I want to welcome a very special woman to our program, Kamali Minter. She practices learning how to embrace the present with your whole being, and she's going to teach us how to take a moment for ourselves. Just breathe.
Thanks, Bianca. Hi. So there is so much power in the breath, and I'm excited to teach you this very simple but powerful breath today that I call the Bliss breath. And it's a yogic breath, and it's so good for switching our nervous systems from that stress response to a more relaxed parasympathetic response. And it's really easy to do. So if you want, you can do it along with me right now in the moment. So we'll start with just finding your low belly, and we want the low belly to be moving as the breath is coming and going. And we're gonna put our lips into a special position like you're sipping through a straw. So you'll purse your lips like when you're sipping through a straw. And you're gonna imagine your inhale traveling all the way down the front side of your spine to your low belly. So you can even put a hand on your low belly so you can feel it moving as you're breathing. And when you exhale, the exhale is going to be with a ha sound, like you're fogging up a window. So let's try a few of those. Sipping the breath in, exhaling, one more. Take a moment and see how you feel. Now this breath can be done for up to 5 minutes, or it can just be done for 30 seconds, and it will help to shift your nervous system. You can do it with eyes open in a relaxed state or eyes closed. So I invite you to work with this breath anytime you need a little shift from stress into a more peaceful, calm state.
I'm pleased to introduce our main segment this evening and learn the stories of Michelle, Samantha, and Peggy and how they have created their calm by learning a new skill, rediscovering a love for baking and creating a beautiful backyard space to get inspired. Michelle Promyotin is a Jill of all trades. Not only does she work full-time as a technical recruiter, but she also owns a wedding hairstyling company called Pins and Curls. In the midst of the pandemic, weddings were put on hold, and Michelle turned to music and cooking as her creative outlets during this stay-at-home order. As a true beginner, she has embarked on this journey to learn how to play the ukulele. Michelle has always loved music and appreciated the beauty in listening to others play, but she was scared to learn, always having that fear of failing. It all began on her birthday last year, when her husband, Sunny, and her best friends decided to pull together to surprise her with a brand new ukulele made by local North Bay company, Kala Brand Music. Michelle began by learning one chord at a time and found that starting with one of her favorite songs kept her wanting to keep progressing to other songs she knew as well. This newfound love of the ukulele has created a happiness to her life, knowing that if you believe in something, you can achieve it. Michelle is also very passionate about food and cooking for others, and embraced the uncertainty of the pandemic by learning to cook out of her comfort zone. She's fortunate to live with her husband and a few friends, so she had a house full to cook for when everything shut down. Being her energetic self, she started building original menus and teaching housemates cooking skills. Since then, she has started her own live stream cooking show to share her love of food with others. She really has embraced this past year to grow and learn and become a better version of herself. Hey, Michelle.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here. It's
Of
really
course.
an honor.
Yes, it was really great to just see your segment. And I just want to have a little bit of a conversation with you and find out more about what inspired you to pick up an instrument during the pandemic and why you chose the ukulele.
Well, so first, my husband, Sunny, he's a very, very talented musician, professional musician. He's the lead vocalist and a multi-instrumentalist of this band called Sunny and the Black Pack. And he also owns his own media production company called Black Media. And he's just this musical genius. And we've been together for many, many years. And I was always really scared to learn how to play an instrument. I just, never really prioritized it, just fear of failing or sounding really terrible, especially compared to like my husband. But he's always encouraged me to play music, and he actually suggested the ukulele. He thought it would be, an easy instrument to learn. It's small, like, so yeah, basically, I with the whole pandemic, I had time, to like actually try. And so for my birthday, actually, Sunny and a few of my best friends, they all chipped in and got me this beautiful Kala ukulele. And I was so excited, and it was just the perfect time to really try. So it started with I started taking lessons from my good friend Alex, who's actually he's actually the guitarist in my husband's band, and he's really great, super patient, and he actually does virtual lessons in case anybody's interested. But
teacher.
Yeah. And so yeah, we just started learning basically like one chord at a time. We picked one of my favorite songs, which made it a lot easier to like get into it. And I was amazed. I was like, wow, I was like, I could do this. And so yeah, that's how it started, just one chord at a time. And I started to learn more songs, and now I can even play like a few songs without even looking at the chords, which is awesome. And I think one of my favorite things that I've been doing during the pandemic, because of all the social distancing and whatnot, is being able to play via video chat for my 2-year-old niece Ellie. So she like listens to me play and she like dances around. It's super cute. Yeah, I love it.
Sounds like it really inspired you and brought life and light to your life during this time. How has music helped you through this past year, and what did you find that you didn't realize before you started playing?
Yeah. Learning the ukulele, it's definitely changed my life. I think my only regret is that I didn't start sooner. So like, although I'm like definitely super beginner, it's one of the best feelings to be able to like play music and like jam out with Sunny or any of my friends. Like it's really this incredible, indescribable feeling to be able to play music with somebody else. And it makes me happy. So yeah, it's empowering, I think, to do something that you thought you couldn't do. And it's encouraging to see like even just a little bit of progress, like makes you feel like, okay, I can keep doing this.
Yeah, I can really feel your energy and your enthusiasm for this creative outlet that you found. And so I'm just curious, what would your advice be to someone who wants to try an instrument, but maybe is intimidated or just doesn't know where to start?
Yeah, I think my advice to like learning anything, it could be music, like playing the ukulele, or really anything that you want to try to learn, is really just to try. Like I think you know, there's a couple key things that you know, don't let fear hold you back. Try to be open to like the possibility of accomplishing something that you put your mind to. And then 3, to like to really put in the time to make it happen, because you know, you're not going to just wake up one morning and be this like crazy awesome ukulele player. Like definitely takes time to practice, and you know, with that practice you definitely will get better over time. So I really believe that the mind is a very powerful thing, and like there's just a world of limitless possibilities if you set your mind to it.
I love what you're saying about using a skill and having the courage to overcome your fears. It's a really big part in learning. And we just heard that you didn't just learn the ukulele during the pandemic, but you also have taken on a totally new skill in the kitchen, learning how to cook and experimenting with your cooking skills and new recipes. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, it's been really, really interesting, like learning new things in the kitchen. Um, I'm really passionate about food. I love cooking for others. I love eating good food. I love learning like new about new food or new techniques, and like watching cooking shows and stuff like that. And during this pandemic, it was really uncertain about like, is it safe to go out to eat? Like, especially in the beginning, just nobody really knew. So so we ended up cooking a lot at home. And I'm very fortunate to live with my husband and also a few of our best friends, and we started cooking for each other. And it was pretty crazy and inspiring to see, like, some of my friends had like never cooked before. And I was able to see them learn how to cook an entire, like, complete family meal. And I thought that was so inspiring. And I was like, wow, if they can do that, like, you know, I've always cooked myself, like, for many years. I was like, maybe I can try to learn something new or take it to like the next level. And so my first attempt at trying something, I guess, very different for me, was to come up with this molecular gastronomy meal. And I had only conceptualized like the menu items in my head, like the taste, the textures, even the plating. like I'd never actually done it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to set a date. I'm going to do this. I spent like 15 hours that day, like cooking with like several failed attempts, but at the end, it all came out really great. Like a full on like 4-course meal.
Wow.
And it was, yeah, it was really, really awesome. And I think cooking a meal is one of those things that it's a great way to show your love and gratitude for the ones that you care about. And I think that food and music have this this like it speaks to people's souls, like
creating it's like created community through music, and you've created community through cooking, and you have drawn people closer who live with you and have created experiences for them during a time that was quite stressful and fearful for a lot of people. It's really inspiring. So I'm curious, as somebody who loves to be in the kitchen, I'm sure many of our listeners feel the same way. What is one of your favorite recipes that you've created that maybe doesn't take 15 hours for us to attempt? What is one of the favorite things you've created in the kitchen?
So I get a lot of my inspiration from definitely my loved ones, whether it's like something that I know they really love or enjoy to eat, or we went to a restaurant somewhere and it just reminded me of that place. So my husband Sunny really loves McDonald's egg McMuffins. And so I wanted to like make a deconstructed egg McMuffin. And so what I did was like it has an American cheese sauce, and then a cloud egg, which is basically like a whipped egg white with an egg yolk on top, and it like looks like a cloud. And then a prosciutto chip and an English muffin crumbles. So
delicious.
Yeah, it was it's pretty awesome. I really liked how like fun and whimsical it is to create something like that. And definitely cooking and music have created this space of like, calm and happiness in my life. And I don't know if I necessarily would have had that experience if it wasn't for kind of being in this situation. So
that's so inspiring. You love how you have taken this time that again was quite fearful and stressful for all of us, and you've used it to challenge yourself and to overcome some of the fears. And particularly love how you've mentioned that creativity starts with our mindset, right? It's what we are willing to tackle and take on. So thank you for sharing. I feel inspired by you and love how you've created community and experiences through music and cooking. Thank you so much, Michelle. Peggy Grills had a vision for her new backyard space from the day she purchased her house. Unfortunately, she lost her home in the 2017 Tubbs fire. When she rebuilt the house in 2019, she had poured 2 large slabs of concrete out back without a solid plan, but she knew they were meant to be. Her vision was to have individual outdoor spaces to create welcoming areas to relax and entertain. In the spring of 2020, when shelter-in-place began and Peggy was looking out of her window to her dirt backyard, she knew it was time to see her vision come to life. A pergola was going to be the center stage of the space, and she had always wanted a water feature as well, which she created by finding the perfect pillar rocks along with some flat rock fountains as well, which are now the favorite spot of the many birds that love to visit throughout the day. Peggy can be found having her morning coffee outside to start the day off with intention, something she truly missed and is so glad it is part of her routine again. Peggy chose trees that would add color to the space. Beautiful, deep red Japanese maples and a ginkgo biloba that showcases amazing yellow colors in the fall are now part of her space. She's still adding more elements and plans to add red hot poker plants and cannas to boost up the color pop even more and attract butterflies and dragonflies. Also in the plan is the addition of raised beds this summer to plant fresh herbs. Peggy describes her new space as peaceful and beautiful, and little did she know that this life-changing experience would inspire her to start painting again after many years. She enjoys painting using oils and cold wax, a new, more free-form technique for her. She's loving this new freedom with art and has now dedicated a space in her home as her art studio. Peggy has certainly created her calm in the chaos this past year.
Hi.
Hi there. Hi. So good to see you and to chat with you. So I am so intrigued by what you've taken on during the pandemic. And I'm so curious to find out, what was your inspiration for this backyard design? You had 2 slabs poured, so you obviously had a vision.
Yes.
Take me through what inspired you and what your vision was.
Well, so I bought my house back in 2011. My sister-in-law, Romy, she was my real estate agent, and she brought me here, and I said, nope, house is too small, yard's way too big. It went into escrow, someone else bought it, that fell through, went into another escrow, that fell through, and she said, I need to take you back to this house. I think this is your house. And the third time we came here, the house itself, I purchased as a fixer-upper. Backyard, when I walked out into the backyard, it was huge, and I just suddenly saw the vision. And I bought the house, went on to do a lot of remodeling inside, and then 2017 happened. So I lost the house, but I was very determined. I had that backyard vision in my mind. I was very, very determined to get back into my house and find that calm and that comfort as soon as possible. Mm-hmm. So I moved in 2019 and proceeded to just kind of stare at my dirt backyard for about, another 7 or 8 months. And the summer of 2020, it was time. I get a lot of my inspiration from my senses. Mm-hmm. And I can look at YouTube videos or Pinterest all day long, and there's nothing compared to actually, driving around Santa Rosa, being inspired by landscaping in parking lots or businesses. I took a lot of photos, so that really helped me with my vision, see where I wanted to go. It was always going to be 2 slabs. I like having that separation of space. Mm-hmm. So basically you walk out into my backyard on a small deck, and that steps down into it's a poured stamped concrete slab. That's my kitchen dining area. And then the separation was always going to be a bridge going over a water feature into the other one, which was pergola, and that's like the seating area, the living room space. Mm-hmm. So it was always going to be that. And I'm really attracted to fall colors. So I have a lot of oranges and yellows and those rusty red in the backyard. I love the way the sunlight plays on the leaves and the wind affects the grasses in the dry creek bed. And it's all really inspiring to me. And the fact that I have these little bubbling rocks, these water features, and the birds just love those. They bathe in the bubbling water, and the sound of the hummingbirds and the sound of the wind and the leaves. And I have it
Yeah.
And in the mornings, that's where I drink my coffee every morning.
It sounds so inspiring, and I love this. You've taken us through this vision of a blank canvas, and you filled in these spots, even just describing through the senses. You have color, you have the sound, the feel, the separation of space, textures you've described. You're a true artist. As you're describing this, I can almost see myself in your space. So what is your favorite part of your new space?
I always thought that the pergola was going to be my favorite spot, but it's actually the deck. Walking out first thing in the morning or even last thing at night and just sitting in the chairs on the deck and kind of surveying the lay of the land. That's how I get my day started, and that's how I end my day. And that's where I find a lot of peace and comfort. There's nothing like being in a space by yourself and just immersing yourself in the sounds and the sights and the smells.
Mm-hmm. It
very calming.
Sounds like when you are on that deck, in the first thing in the morning or last thing at night, you're really looking at your creation. You're looking at the canvas that you have filled. So it sounds so peaceful and so rewarding that you have been able to bring this vision to life after so much loss and during a year that was filled with loss for so many of us. So this backyard space has not only brought you a relaxing place, but has also sparked your creativity in new ways. So share a little bit about that. Can you tell us about what else happened as a result of you filling this canvas that was your backyard?
Yes. Yeah, being able to create was definitely very inspiring. I used to paint oils on canvas. I did landscapes, still lifes, lily ponds, koi ponds. But I hadn't painted in years, and I've been retired for officially 2 years now. And I always thought I would get back into that, but I was really having a hard time. I had my spare room set up as a studio / office. I tried a couple of times, just couldn't get going on it. Creating the yard definitely inspired me, but actually what really got me going is I had this text conversation with a friend who had said that she was doing an online class in fabric art, and she sent me some of the photos she was doing, and I thought, I was waiting for the world to up and get back into live classes. Look into this. So I definitely fell down a rabbit hole. 2 weeks of online tutorials in oils and cold wax and more abstract painting. This is something I'd always wanted to try, and it really intimidated me. But once I started watching these videos, I made my list. I researched prices. Where am I going to get my materials? I started ordering, going out and buying materials. And from the moment I started this new technique, which is, I don't use brushes. I use palette knives and scrapers, and I'm putting the color and scraping them off and creating lines. And it's all very abstract and free, but I've done 11 paintings in 11 weeks, and that's so much more prolific than I've ever been. So
that is so inspiring and
feels really good.
Yeah, I love how you have used this in the opportunity to create a backyard space to ignite your other passion for painting, where you've tried new things. I'm sure that has been really rewarding for you. Thank you so much for sharing with us, Peggy. I can't wait to see more about what it is you've done, and maybe there's an art show in your future where we can attend and see your paintings. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you.
Samantha Powell works in the hospitality industry, both in her role in tourism and serving clients through her event planning business. She's a wife and mom to her son, so she's used to having little to no time to herself. When shelter in place started last year, Samantha was inspired after tasting a friend's fresh loaf of sourdough and became one of the early adopters to the sourdough start. Albeit reluctant to undertake the task, she now has 2 starters, Toast Malone and Rise and Grind, who are thriving, and she likens her starters to having another kid in the house to take care of. Samantha started baking loaves for her family to enjoy. Now, baking 4 or 8 loaves per week, she has branched out to include baking for friends, neighbors, and colleagues. She has used her starter for other yummy creations, such as seeded and jalapeno cheddar sourdough soft pretzels, pancakes, and waffles. And having created her starter from scratch, she has shared jars of her active starter with friends to ease the process of starting their own sourdough journey. She has long been creative in other ways in the kitchen, including being self-taught in cake decorating. The pandemic and the sourdough process reminded her of that love for baking, and she has created some beautiful cakes and cupcakes for family and close friends to celebrate birthdays and milestones this past year, recognizing the small things sometimes mean the most, now more than ever. So she has come to love the process of baking and decorating, giving her a bit of a routine, a creative outlet, and she finds that it is very calming. Plus, she enjoys brightening someone's day when she delivers a friendly package of freshly baked, delicious bread.
Well, welcome, Samantha. So good to chat with you.
Thanks.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. So, sourdough. It was the hot topic of 2020, so much so that I think several stores and retailers ran out of flour. So how did you get on this bandwagon of sourdough?
Yeah, so I actually refused in the beginning, and I had a really good friend who was starting hers, and she was enjoying it, and I still refused until she brought me over a half a loaf, and my boys and I tried it, and we just loved it. And so, of course, I had to give it a go. My son actually works for a grocery store, so we knew firsthand that there was already a shortage. So that was a little bit of a challenge, but jumped in because the boys enjoyed it. And I thought if we loved it in our home, then we could share it with others.
That's lovely. I love how you have taken your creativity and created something for other people to enjoy. That is lovely and so generous. So this is the only thing I know about sourdough is that you have to tend to it. So as a busy professional with a really busy schedule, here you are taking on another thing to tend to. Tell me a little bit of how that works. What do you have to do to tend to your sourdough?
Yeah, it's like a 2-day process. So once you have your starter active, you've like nurtured it from nothing, and you've got it going. When you want to bake, it's a 2-day process. And so I actually only just recently realized that it probably was giving me back what I was losing with the pandemic, and that I didn't have timelines and logistics to run through. And so it gave me a 2-day process that every time I baked, I had to set my timers. I had to have a schedule around it. It also gave me a reason to get up from my desk. So working in the hospitality industry, it's been taxing and challenging. And so it made me get up from my desk sometimes when otherwise I might have just kept my head down. And so that really was the calm for me, in that I got up and got active with my sourdough. So it's a 2-day process. There's many steps that go into it. And then once you finally bake it, I was baking my 2 starters each time. So I have Toast Malone and Rise and Grind are my 2 children's starters. And each time I bake, I'd have 4 loaves. So that's way too much for our household of 3. So I got to share it with friends and neighbors. And that was really a joy for me.
I love that. I want to go back to what you just said about this creative outlet and tending to your sourdough and following a process.
really grounded you and gave you back something that the pandemic kind of took away from you. Was that surprising to you?
It was, yeah. So baking's always been a stress reliever for me. So that wasn't a shock that I turned to baking, even though I was rejecting sourdough at first. I had started, cakes and cookies, and I was going to challenge myself to get the DoubleTree chocolate chip cookie down since they released their recipe. And so I had turned to that already. I just wasn't sure I'd do bread until I finally did. But yeah, it did. It gave me back something that I didn't realize, obviously I love what I do, but I didn't realize until just recently that that's actually part of what it gave me.
Right. I also love how you're talking about baking as this exacting process, and yet it's also super creative. Tell us a little bit about that experience, how it can be both.
Yeah, I'm not a great baker in the sense that I'm, super precise. And so I like to create my own recipes. So bread actually challenged me a little bit in that way. You have to weigh things or measure pretty exactly. The temperature has to be just right of your water when you're starting your batch. And so that did challenge me a little bit, because even in my baking of cupcakes or cakes, I'll kind of mix up my recipe and try a different flavor, or throw something new in there. I swap out oils for coconut, or so I've always tried different things, and so it did challenge me a little bit. But I also took my own spin, and I made jalapeno cheddar or seeded sourdough, and so I tried different things along the way because I needed to kind of step outside the bounds a little.
I love that you're saying that, because I feel that often the recipes scare some of us because we're like, we have to be so exact. And then what you're describing is this idea that once you practice it and you have it down a bit, you can really step out of your rules and experiment some more. I'm curious about baking in general for you. You mentioned that it's been part of your life and your creative outlet for a long time. How did you start baking, and what was that doing for you at the time when you started?
I actually started when my son was born. I probably baked a little bit here and there before that. But when I had my son, I was such a nervous new mom. And so I'd stay up all night and watch him sleep to make sure that he was breathing. And so I started baking cakes during the night and decorating cakes. And it kind of went from there. Other people would ask me, to bake for them. And so it, became a joy for me to share that with others. So baking's always been a piece there. When he played Little League, I'd bake a cake custom to the team that he was on, or things like that. So it's always been something that allowed me to get creative in a different way than in my everyday.
I love that. And I love how you're using your creative outlets to share with other people and have them enjoy your creation and enjoy it quite literally, like taste it and take it in. How has baking in this past year helped you with stress relief and create a space of calm for you and your family?
Yeah, I think, the process of the bread making or any other baking isn't necessarily stress-free. If my starter doesn't activate and I've promised someone a loaf, that can be challenging and stress me out a little bit. But it's a different kind of stress. It's the creative stress, and the one that once you do get that loaf and it's beautiful and you get to gift it, it's rewarding. So that in and of itself, I absolutely love sharing with others. And, I hope it brings a little joy to them. They're always thrilled when they receive them. And so, that kind of filled my cup or filled my heart during this time of challenge for so many, and challenge for even our household. So
I love that. So generous that you're choosing or chose a creative outlet, and maybe it kind of chose you in some way. That is so in line with your personality and who you are and how you contribute to other people's lives, and always sharing, always trying a way to find a way to give. So thank you so much again for sharing this with us, and for daring to follow a recipe and step outside of your comfort zones a bit, and learning new things. I really appreciate it, and I'm inspired by the diligence it takes to create a sourdough bread. So thank you so much, Samantha.
Well, thank you, and thanks for the kind words.
Yeah.
ladies, that was so much fun. Thank you so much to all of you for sharing your creative outlet. I totally feel inspired. I'll start gardening, cooking. I may not start playing the ukulele, but might start a sourdough. So I'm so curious, like looking forward to the world opening up again and us creating our new sense of normal. Where do you think this new creative endeavor that you've taken on will take you, and how will you continue to be creative? I'm curious to hear from you, Michelle.
Yeah, I'm excited first off for, the world to start to get back to this like normal, I guess. I think it's a really bright future ahead, and I definitely, I know life will get busier again, but I need to remind myself and remember like these newly discovered passions and like the happiness and joy it brings me, so that way it'll keep me on the path to keep growing and learning. So.
Yeah, I love that you're talking about creativity bringing forward happiness, and that it's not just about making the thing or learning the thing, it's about creating joy. So how about you, Peggy? How do you think you'll continue being creative as the world opens back up and new demands on your time will no doubt pop in?
Well, first of all, I'm retired, so I have all the time in the world, and I do have a tendency to fill out my days. As far as the landscaping goes, it's an ongoing thing. I still have things I want to do in the backyard. I want to finish out my kitchen area. I want to build, raised planter beds. So that's an ongoing process. It'll be never ending. And in terms of my painting, I'm still working on the techniques, honing my skills. And for me, it's all about doing the things I've always wanted to do. Outside the corporate world, and getting back to traveling, because traveling really inspires me as well. It's one thing I've missed.
Yeah, isn't it interesting that being creative is not a one and done kind of thing? It always unfolds to something else and more. And I love the word you use, the tending to and continuing to build on what you've already created in your backyard. That's really, it's really inspiring. I think an important thing to remember for those of us who are intimidated to start creating. It's just a process. Samantha, I'm so curious about your take on this, because you're such a busy professional and you're just deeply steeped into our community in the events industry. How do you intend on continuing to bake and tend to your sourdough starters as the world opens up?
It will definitely get interesting just because of, how active I have to stay engaged with my starters. So it will most likely move more towards a weekend project. The weekends I don't have things going on, or definitely like scheduling myself so that it falls mostly in the evenings. As we see things opening up, I already feel like there's much that's getting back to normal, and we're definitely getting busier in the county. And so, community and all of the things that we were used to going out for before, I think are going to come back. And so it will get a little bit more challenging, but I've been baking, like I shared earlier, since my son was born. And so I've always baked during being a busy professional and a mom. So I'm sure I'll continue baking. It may just be a little less frequent.
Yeah. I'm curious, ladies, how has this inspired you to maybe try even new things? Peggy, you mentioned going back to travel. Michelle, you are obviously very active with your YouTube cooking channel. Samantha, you were talking about really delving back into the events industry and helping other people experience events. What else has this sparked for you ladies in terms of creativity? What else might you want to take on that you've been curious about? Michelle, how about you?
Yeah, I'll go first. It's definitely eye-opening. Actually, I've never made bread before, and now that could be a new thing for me to try to learn, is make sourdough. I love eating sourdough, so And yeah, I think maybe even learning a new instrument. I mean, I right now only know ukulele, but I don't want to let fear hold myself back from trying something new. So I could be multi-instrumentalist just like Sunny.
Yes, I'm so glad that you brought that back in, the fear. If anybody feels that fear of
Yeah.
not wanting to start something in case you fail, just give it a go and
Yeah, just try.
just try it.
Yeah.
Peggy, are you thinking of new things, new techniques? Has your garden inspired you to paint things that perhaps you've never painted before?
Well, just abstract, being new to abstract painting, I definitely want to explore that more and get even more crazy. Like I have this painting behind me that's somewhat abstract, but it's a landscape. And then this one is crazy abstract. And I actually had a lot of fun doing that. So I want to push the boundaries, definitely. And I'm really looking forward to taking some live classes because there's nothing like that one-on-one.
Yeah. Yeah. Truly, very, very truly. Samantha, I'm so inspired by the way you're juggling things. You mentioned in our discussion, our conversation, that baking has sort of grounded you during this time of no or little schedule. It's grounded you to have a schedule. Tell me a little bit about what your schedule is going to look like and how you're going to juggle the professional, personal life, and all of these creative outlets that you have now brought into your life.
That's a great question. I wish somebody could tell me that. As things open up in the county, that's going to really kind of drive my schedule. So, working in the hospitality industry, we're trying to support that industry, which is so big here in Sonoma County. As we get busier, my schedule, definitely trends towards whatever that impact is, and I love that. I thrive on being busy, and so. That's why I will still keep going with the sourdough baking, in addition to my family and friends loving that they get a loaf here and there. That will keep it going for me anyway. But it definitely challenged me. Like I said, I was resistant to it, and so it made me think, like, what else have I been resistant to that maybe I want to take some risk or some challenge, and try not to be afraid of it. So it definitely helped me with that inspiration.
That is definitely one thing that stands out to me, and I hope it stands out to our listeners as well, that when you take on a creative outlet, it just challenges you in ways that you perhaps weren't challenged before, and you overcome your fears. You're paying attention to your internal dialogue, your senses get engaged, right? We heard that from Peggy. And you're just becoming a better version of yourself. So if you're feeling afraid, I hope that everyone is just taking a good listen and feeling inspired to just dare to try something new and be creative. There's really nothing you can do wrong, just trying and experimenting. Thank you, ladies, so much for having this chat with me. I feel really inspired, and I feel inspired to try new things and see at how that is going to impact my life. So thank you so much for your time, Peggy, Michelle, Samantha. You guys are amazing. Have a wonderful evening.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
I think this whole process has made us even more connected because we're all in it together.
None of us have ever been through this moment. So beginning with a lot of self-compassion and just being okay with where you are day to day.
Thank you for joining us for our Women in Conversation at Home Spring Series. In case you missed one, you can always watch all of the past episodes online at socowomenevents.com. Thank you again to our presenting partner, Summit State Bank, founding partner, Providence, and supporting partners, North Coast Tile and Stone, Oliver's Market, and Montgomery Village.